Okay. Right now, I just want to continue with the example to show you the use of sessions and use of database connectivity in JSP. Okay. So what I will do next is I will create one simple HTML file which takes from me username. That username is being forwarded to a JSP file which just prints me welcome. Okay, which just prints me welcome, and then it navigates to the third page. Third page also remembers my name. Okay, this is what I just want to show you at this point. So now what I will do is I will just write one HTML file, simple HTML file. You can just see this is the HTML file that is being created for accepting the name from the user. Okay, let me give the name as database or sessions in JSP. Now, to show the sessions in JSP, the overall idea is this. I have an HTML file. On click of the submit button or go that is being given here, on click of the go button, it will just navigate to another page which is called as greeting.jsp. This greeting.jsp takes in the data that is being sent from the HTML file, that's been sent from the HTML file. That name gets printed on the second page telling welcome. Then the value that is being entered from the user, that will be stored as part of one of the session object, so that the same thing can be carried forward to the third page. Okay, then what happens, I will give one hyperlink for the next page. On click of that hyperlink, it will go to another page that is called as third page. Okay, I call it as second.jsp. Inside that, it prints me the name that I have entered in the first page. Okay, and make sure that session is maintained. Then along with that, apart from that, it also does something else. Okay, let me just show you the things that I'm doing. Now, I have written a simple form in HTML. I totally suppose that you know the things properly, how to write the HTML form. I think about this in servlets, when I was discussing servlets, about this I have definitely made a mention. Now, in the HTML file, there is an acceptance of name. Okay, say let me write enter name, enter your name. This enter your name title, and along with that there is a text field. In that, whatever I enter, that will be carried forward to what is called as greeting.jsp. Okay, this is my first file. Now what I will do, I'll simply copy this and paste it in index.html. Okay, so I have pasted it. Next, what I will do, it has to navigate to greeting.jsp. Okay, it has to navigate to greeting.jsp. So in this, what is happening is, in this, I'll just show you. First two lines are important. See, other things, these other things are automatically generated. From here to here, all these things are automatically generated. You are not writing even a single line of code in this. Now, insert title here. You can definitely vary this title if you want to vary. Then, once the scriptlet tag has started, at this point, the first line of code is the same as we have done previously. What is that? Whatever name that has been entered in the HTML has to be restored in the current file, or has to be taken as part of the local variable. Okay, so how I have done? String name is equal to request.get parameter of uname. This is the name given as part of HTML file. Now, the local variable's name holds the name that has been entered in the HTML file. Next line This shows the use of session object, implicit object. Session dot set attribute. It does what? When I have set attribute, definitely I have what is called as get attribute. Get attribute will make sure that what is the name with which this value has been stored, that will be printed as part of get attribute. Okay. So I have something called as session dot set attribute. This set attribute, it talks about right now you want to establish the session. You want to start the session. Okay, I think in PHP you have something called as start underscore session. And when you write end underscore session, the session will end. Until that time, the same session will be carried forward. Okay, there is a very minute difference between the session and the cookies. Guys, session talks about one particular attribute. Session talks about one particular attribute. Here the username has to be carried forward in a number of pages that follows. But cookies talks about multiple values are stored as part of the browser. So that whenever you want, you can extract them with the ID with the ID with which it has been stored. Okay, so cookies is different from session. Session is totally different from cookies. Session talks about one particular attribute that is the manager of the session, one particular attribute. So when you log in into the page, login always is owned by the user. So session is always maintained with a single attribute. That's why I have single set attribute. So when you have set attribute, when you have set the attribute with reference to the username, that particular username will be carried forward. Okay, that session will be set for that particular username. Fine. But cookies is not like this. In my next class, probably last but one class. Okay, in my next class, I'll show you the difference between session and the cookies with an example. Okay, with the same example written with the session, the same example written for the cookies, how they are differing. Okay, I'll show you that in the next class. Probably I'll be taking class tomorrow or afternoon. Okay, I'll let you know anyways. Now, when I write session dot set attribute, with what attribute you want to proceed ahead? What attribute you want to have it in the next page also? Okay, that is being written. Name is the name of the attribute for which you are setting the session. And this is the ID with which the name has been stored. So when I write get attribute of user, it will print me the name. Okay, this is name value pair, similar to name value pair. This value is being stored with this particular ID. Okay, similarly, you can have multiple session attributes, but normally when login page is there, only username acts as the session attribute. Okay, so this is where I am restoring the value to be displayed in the next coming page. Okay, in the next coming page. Next, what I have done, the simple thing. I have simply printed welcome and the space I have given just for the sake, before printing the name, I just want to change the font color. So when I want to change the font color, font is HTML tag. That's why I have ended the scriptlet tag. I have ended the scriptlet tag. Then I've started font color is equal to red. Then between font and slash font, whatever that needs to be printed in red color, that needs to be typed and it has to be within the scriptlet tag. What is that? Out.print of name. What is this name? Name is nothing but the value that I have received from the HTML. Okay, so that gets printed and I'm ending the font. I'm ending the font. Then after I have ended the font, I just want to have a link to the third page. So how I can have the link to the third page? Either I can have a submit button or a button that navigates to another page, or I can have a hyperlink. So here I have created a hyperlink to navigate to the third page. Okay, and that third page is called as second.jsp. So in this file, what has been done is, in the first file, HTML file, username has been entered. On click of the go button, it has navigated to greeting.jsp or welcome, whatever name that I have given. That particular JSP file, this particular JSP file has taken the name that is being entered by the user into a variable, and with that variable, the session has been set. Session has been set. Then simply printed welcome user. Welcome user. Then there is a hyperlink for the second page. Hyperlink for the second page. Okay. Now what I will do, I'll just go to the second.jsp. The second.jsp is doing twofold things. What all things it is being doing? It is trying to have the showcase of the session, first of all. And then it is also trying to store the data that has come from the first page, entered into second page, and then now into the third page into a table contained in login DB. Two things I'm doing. I just want to show the session management, and I just also want to show that how I can write the database connectivity in JSP. Okay, definitely in my next class, I'll be taking care about the login page. With reference to that, I'll be writing the session, I'll be writing the cookies, and I'll definitely show you that. Okay, then you can just see the things that I used to declare outside now has come into declaration tag. Guys, you just have to compare this with the servlet program that you have written. Only then you will understand it. If you want me to show it, I will show it for you. These two lines of code are being written outside the try block. Outside the try block. Please remember that these are the declarations to be done. The declarations to be done are written as part of declaration tag. Okay. Now db underscore driver and db underscore URL are the things that are being declared. They'll be used inside the scriptlet tag later. Now declaration tag has been ended. Inside the scriptlet tag, first thing that I will do is I'll extract the session thing that has been stored. Okay, if you can remember, the attribute, the ID with which the session was stored was user. Now using this ID, I'll call what is called as get attribute. In the previous, I had written set attribute with ID and the value. Now what I have written get attribute of user. So this particular ID, with reference to this, whatever value that is stored, that value gets extracted. And the value that is stored is of type string. That's why I have done it the string. I have done the type conversion, explicit type conversion, and then stored in a variable name. This name is a local variable. It is nowhere connected to the previous file. But who is connected to the previous file? User is connected to the previous file. Who is this? This is a session ID. This is the session ID. And how I have extracted? By using what is called as get attribute. Now the name that was entered in first page, in the second page, I have set attribute to that. That has been extracted in the third page. So it is 3 levels. Right now I am having the same name entered. So what I will do, I just want to check whether I have received the same value or not. So I have printed hello name. Okay, now I have started the try block and called class.forName connection object using the driver manager, called the get connection function. Then statement I have created. Then I have written insert into hello1 user values. The value that I need to store is name. It should be written inside the single quotes. I think how to write this kind of things I have shown it in servlets already. Then execute update of SQL. That results into a variable result of type integer. Execute update always returns an integer. Then I'll check whether result has been returned with a positive value or not. If so, it will be inserted successfully. Otherwise, there is an error, insertion error. Then the catch blocks for the try block that has been written. First thing is class not found. And second thing is SQL exception. Okay, this whole code from here till here, it remains the same. I have simply copied and pasted from the servlet. No change at all. I've simply copied and pasted. I have not altered even a single line of code in this. But what is the modification that I've done? This has been put inside the scriptlet tag. And the two lines which were before the try block, these two lines has been put separately as part of declaration tag. Nothing else other than that. Then I have ended the scriptlet tag as soon as the catch block has been ended. Are you all okay with this? Please let me know from your end. Let me know from your end. This particular program talks about session management as well as insertion into the database. Two things. Please let me know from your end.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
I have one doubt. Here we are
Yeah.
using the database things, right? So do we like, is there any need to import that java.sql?
Yes, good question. I'm supposed to show you that. Very good question. Okay, now I'll just go to the first line of code. Okay, I'll just go to the first line of code. And you can just see this was there in the previous examples also. Correct? This was there in the previous example also. Now have a look at the second line where I have written this line extra. Okay, this is where I talk about importing other pages into the current page. Importing other pages into the current page. I have written at the rate. It means that this is include tag. This is called include tag. Include tags talks about you want to import any other page into this, you can. You want to refer any other file over here, any other class over here, definitely. But whatever class or interface or a file or even a package, everything in JSP is called as a page. It is called as a page. Okay. Page is an implicit object that you have seen when I have shown you the list of implicit objects in JSP. Now, whenever you want to use page, you have to have include tag instead of writing scriptlet, declaration or expression tag. You are supposed to use the include tag. Okay, this is called as anchor tag, also called as anchor tag. Now, anchor tag followed by page, then space import equal to. This is how you are supposed to write the import statement in JSP. If you want to have scanner imported, scanner class to be a part of this, suppose you want to have, then lesser than symbol percentage at the rate page space import equal to. Okay, then within double quotes you are going on writing the things that are there. You're going on writing. Okay, they are comma separated. Please note they are all comma separated. Any number of packages you want to include, all those things can be included within a pair of double quotes, and each one of them are comma separated if multiple things are there. You can just see java.io.star, java.util.star, java.sql.star. Definitely, I don't require java.io, java.util. I want only java.sql. But to show you that more than one page can be imported at a time, I have written these two. Okay, they are not required at this point. In this example, they are not required at all. What is required for me? Java.sql.star. So how I am supposed to write? Lesser than percentage at the rate space page space import equal to double quotes java.sql.star double quotes end. Then end the tag. Varshini, I think I have answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. You answered
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Now the whole code I think sounds much easier for you. What is that I have done? First thing that I have done is I have imported. Then second thing I have done is I have declared the global variables. These are declarations to be done as part of declaration tag. Then in the scriptlet tag, I have called the session object by the ID with which the value has been stored using get attributes. Using get attributes. Okay. Then I have called all those database related stuffs and I have tried to insert the data from the which is being given in the HTML file, navigated to second JSP, then first JSP, then navigated to second JSP. That I want to insert. This is what has been done in this example. I'll just go back and try to run this program. Okay. Right click on the first page which you want to run as, run on server, click next, finish. Okay, it has asked me to enter. Okay, let me write your class here. Okay, Ramya, welcome Ramya. Second page, it has been inserted successfully. I'll just go back to the PHP MyAdmin, refresh on hello. Just give me 1 minute of time. Okay, you can just see the value getting inserted into the database. Okay, any doubt at this point? In my next class, I'll be covering session and cookies separately. One simple example I have shown for the sessions. I'll be taking some more examples on sessions and then covering cookies. And then I'm left out with what is called as lambda expressions. 3 things remaining. Probably, if I take one more 2 hours class, I'll be ending the portion. Okay, let me know from your end any doubts you have. You can type in and definitely I can answer to that.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, so far we have seen that insertion successfully status. Like always, like insertion will happen successfully. But can you please show that one case when that insertion fails? Because like when I'm executing something, like I saw when that insertion is not successful, it will just directly go to the catch block because like exception will be there. So it won't print
Correct.
that line insertion error.
Correct.
So can you please just show it once? Like
Definitely it will
when
not
it's
print
not
the insertion error
successful.
because okay, Varshini, I'll just go back to the second.jsp. 1 minute. Okay. Definitely this else part is not required as you told. Okay, this is for my convenience. Okay, मेरी तसल्ली के लिए I have written this. Actually, if there is any error in case of insertion, definitely it will go to SQL exception. It will directly go to the catch block of SQL exception. It will never enter into else part. It will never enter into else part because it might not have executed any of these lines correctly. Any of these lines correctly, it would not have been executed. So there is no question at all for entering into if block. There's no question at all. There might be some error before only. For that reason only the insertion has not been done. So that question never occurs, do I need to check result greater than 0? That will never appear. Whenever there is a failure in execute update at any point in time, since execute update is written as part of try, it will directly go to the respective catch block. So this else part is not actually required. It is only for my sake, my convenience. Yes, Varshini. Have I answered
Yes,
your...
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Then if I want to print that message like insertion error, then I have to use
Definitely.
nested try.
Yeah, nested try.
Nested try catch.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Any other doubts? No doubts? So shall we end the session? I'll be giving all these programs to you in the Google Classroom. Yeah, Ramya.
Yes, ma'am. The previous class recording, ma'am.
Definitely. I'll do that. I was out of
Yes,
station, Ramya, for 1 week,
yes,
and
ma'am.
so
I
I
know,
didn't do
ma'am.
that. Yeah. I'll do it by tomorrow because I have third sem class also now. So I'll do it by tomorrow.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you,
Okay.
ma'am.
May I know from your end, Ramya, can you call me in the evening today? Tomorrow at what time should I take the class? Okay. And accordingly, we will plan.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
require 3 hours
I'll let you
class.
know. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. So shall we end?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.